This week I attended SaaStr Europa in London, and it was one of the most insightful and impactful couple of days at an event that I have had. And I wanted to just share a couple of my thoughts and learnings from the couple of days that I spent there. The first that came through so many of the sessions from founders that have seen successful and rapid growth was just about urgency. They described specific ideas and suggestions that they came up with and how fast they were to take that idea and to put it into execution. Whether it was billboards or events or incentive campaigns, it was quick. So there's none of this, I'm going to build out an annual plan. Of course, they're creating an annual plan, but it's not about saying, right, we've got an idea and we're going to do this in 3 or 4 quarters. It's idea and execution. The second bit of learning was around winning creates more winning. If your team are successful and they feel like they're winning, then they go on to greater success. Whereas if your team is losing and they feel like they're losing, just that energy and passion saps away and it becomes harder and harder to get the flywheel turning. The ex-CRO of Divi talked about setting targets that are stretch targets, but they are achievable, that you can get the majority of your sales team to meet and beat that target. He said that he wants to pay out 105% of OTE, and that means that people are feeling like they're winning, and that goes on to greater and greater success. The third bit of learning came from some of the VC sessions that I went to listen to, and that was all about, it's no longer growth at all costs, it's about profitable growth. Investors and the market rewards efficiency over just unsustainable growth. And one of the key metrics to measure that is, instead of just revenue and revenue growth, but revenue per head, revenue per employee. And you can do this by reducing your headcount if there are inefficient heads in that business, or increasing a lot of the automation that can help you to scale up. We're not just looking at throwing more heads at a business, especially in sales and marketing, more people to make that growth, but can we increase the efficiency of the growth that we are creating and unlink it from the number of employees that we've got. The fourth was a great bit of learning from Job, who is the CEO of Remote. Remote is a company that enables global employees to be recruited and hired without you having to set up different organizational structures in individual countries. And they really capitalized on the pandemic. It was just when they founded the business. And so they've seen dramatic growth from just that first employee just at the start of the pandemic through to over 1,000 just a couple of years later. And Job talked about every time the size of your company doubles, whether that is doubling the number of people or the size of the revenue, it's really like you've got a new company. You've got new people. You've got new leadership structures. You've got new economics of the business. You've got new partners. You're working in new countries. You've got new processes and systems. You really need to forget what you had at 50 employees as you reach 100. And you need to forget that as you reach 200. And too many companies hold on and cling on to the way that they have been in the past, with the all-company trip to the ski resort, with the CEO interviewing every new hire. You have to delegate that and move on to the new stage of your process. And then just some of my learnings, having gone to an event as an individual. After the pandemic and everything being on screen, it is so powerful to be in front of people, to be able to connect emotionally and see people smile and share food and share a drink with them. the serendipitous meetings that you have by just being present and being in a queue and being in front of people and asking what others do. I met so many people that I hadn't planned to meet just by turning up. I wore, well, it's not here, but I wore a branded RevOps Charlie t-shirt. Had a logo on the front here and it had a logo on the back there. And the number of people that I got introduced to and met because of those logos was astounding. I'd be sat in a session and someone behind me would tap me on the shoulder and go, so talk to me, what's RevOps Charlie? I'm in RevOps, or I'm in go-to-market. What does RevOps Charlie do? It initiated conversations. And so never be too proud to wear a branded t-shirt. No one really likes networking. And if you can give people a trigger, a catalyst for them to make conversation, then you'll see huge benefits. The second was to have a useful giveaway that you can hand out. I had a little flyer which just said, this is to remind me that I met RevOps Charlie. A bit humorous, and it was there to remind people when they got back home, oh yeah, I met Charlie. And I handed that out at the start of a conversation, and it really helped to guide a little bit of the conversation that I was having with someone. My 9th bit of learning was that when I talk about revenue operations, the vast majority of people immediately gravitated to the word operations. Revenue operations. What systems do you work in? What CRM do you deal with? What analytics platform are you aligned with? They skipped over the key word for me, revenue. They didn't talk about growth. They didn't talk about sales strategies. They didn't talk about the architecture of a sales team and the pricing and the routes to market. It was very much internally focused. And so I will focus on doing a better job of creating content and educating go-to-market leaders, revenue leaders, that revenue operations is about revenue first, and then the systems, the processes, and the data that support that. And finally, my learnings from attending the event are that even when times are tough for an individual company that you might work for, or even an entire segment that you might think everything in tech is facing challenges, there are companies that are executing and that are winning in the current climate because of this urgency, because of this desire to win, because of this reinvention of their business every time they double. Even if you don't consider yourself to be a startup or a SaaStr attendee, maybe because you're a large public company, maybe because you're not in tech, I would encourage surrounding yourself with these types of companies who just don't give up and who believe that they can win, as you'll really feed off that energy and it will input into your own strategies. So there are my 10 bits of learning from attending SaaStr. I hope you find them useful, and no doubt I'll see you at next year's event.